Today I'm gonna show you how you can install a full-blown AI chatbot on your own computer.
I've got a computer.
Why does that matter? Well, because I did a survey on my LinkedIn and almost half of my patent attorney colleagues prefer local AI for patent drafting. So I'm gonna install everything and we're gonna go through the whole setup process together on my computer right now. The first thing you wanna do is you wanna open up a browser and go to ollama.com. You click on download and then you pick your version for your operating system. I'm gonna go for the Mac OS version. Talking about hardware, I'm using a Mac Mini here from 2020, an Apple M1 chip, only 16 GB RAM, so let's see how that goes. Once it is installed on your computer, it takes like 60 seconds. You can start Ollama, here we have it. First thing I want to recommend is that you go into the settings actually. So you can enable airplane mode. This then makes 100% sure that no data is sent through the internet, right? And secondly, you want to take a look at the context length. The context length basically defines, the amount of memory the LLM has in a given chat. So how far it can remember back. So I'd like to go for 32K or even more, depending on your hardware. With that out of the way, we can go back to our main Ollama panel and start chatting away, basically. A quick note on model selection though, so you can select all kinds of open source, open weights models to be precise. I'm gonna go for Gemma 3, hopefully the 12 billion parameter model runs on my hardware here in this demo. You can select any of those models and when you start a new chat, like hello, Ollama will automatically start downloading the model if it is not already on your computer. So now I'm gonna skip ahead until the model is downloaded. Okay, and now we can see that the model is now downloaded on my computer. Let's draft a patent, right? So for this demo, maybe let's draft the background section of the patent description. And hey, I've got a full free prompt for this on my website. So let's head to the browser again and let's go to my website, powerclaim.io. You can go to the free tools. And here we have the background section writer. This is a free prompt. I'm gonna just copy the whole text. Here we go, copy, and now back to Ollama. I'm just gonna paste the whole prompt into the chat box. And of course, we also need an invention to work on. So I'm just gonna I'm just gonna input a sample invention description into my local AI chatbot here, and we are submitting the prompt. Okay, so this took like 30 seconds on my hardware here, and now the AI is starting to write out the background section. As you can see, it's a bit slower than what you might be used to when you're using ChatGPT or Gemini. But of course, if you are following my content, you will not be using a free cloud chatbot for patent drafting, right? You will never input sensitive information there. That's why I'm showing you the 100% private option here today. So it's writing out the background section. Let's gonna fast forward to the final text. Okay, and after roughly 2 minutes, we have the full background section here. So it starts, with a general description of the field. This invention is about wireless communication networks. Then it talks about existing technology in that space. And then it goes through paragraph by paragraph, a number of, challenges. I always write my background sections in the sense that, looking at the invention, I have a list of technical facts the invention actually achieves, right? And in the background section, I like to present exactly the opposite of the technical effect of the invention as a limitation in the known technologies. So here in this background section, I've programmed the prompt in such a way that it goes technical effect by technical effect and writes one paragraph each about a complementary shortcoming of the prior art. We have that here, and then at the end of the background section we have a closing paragraph that says developing resource efficient solutions remains a continuing technical problem, and so on. So I think this is a nice springboard then for presenting the invention in the next chapter of the patent application. Some remarks on model selection. So in this experiment I was installing Ollama on my very old computer, right, with only 16 gigabytes of RAM, just to show you what is possible. I was able to run a 12 billion parameter model, and I think the output was perfectly fine, right? We have to distinguish between two tasks, though, I would say. So for the mere text production, drafting a background section, drafting embodiments and things like that, just producing text based on your input, I like to use models like, for example, the Gemma 3 on my real computer, which I use productively for my patent attorney work, for my AI drafting in my own practice. I'm using a Gemma 3, the 27 billion model, which is even linguistically even better than in the demo we saw right now. Or I also like to use GPT OSS 20 billion parameters. And then besides text production, there is reasoning tasks, right? So when you use the AI not only as your, servant to take over the grunt work, but also as a tool for thought, as I want to call it. I have a whole video on this paradigm, which I'm going to link here. If you use the AI also as a thinking sparring partner, to elevate your own critical thinking rather than replacing it, I like to use reasoning models. For example, my recommendation would be Qwen 3 right now. That's a model I'm using quite frequently. In my production machine, I'm using the 30 billion parameters model here. And my production machine is just a MacBook Pro, so also no magic here. But of course, when it comes to the linguistic capabilities of those large language models, size does really matter. So I'm planning to buy a new MacBook, which I think the biggest one has like 128 gigabytes of RAM, and that should be able to fit even larger local models. For example, from GPT OSS, I think there's a 120 billion parameter version out there, and I'm planning to do a test also with those models, and I expect even better linguistic quality here. I'll keep you posted. Okay, so you've seen a fully private, 100% secure local patent drafting setup in this video. If you want the exact prompt I was using to create the background section, check the link in the description. Hope this helps.